All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started just because there's a lot going on this evening, and this room is very full, more full than I expected it to be, so hopefully you didn't all come on my account. There's some really important and amazing people that are going to be on the second floor that it's hopefully going to create a really great opportunity for you to just learn a lot about the opportunities, not just here at Dublin, but all of the amazing things that students can do beyond their time here at Dublin City Schools. So my name is Kevin Patton. I'm a Pathways Counselor here at Dublin City Schools, and I'm not new to the district, but this role is new. I was at Kaufman for over 10 years as a counselor, so if you've had children go through Kaufman, you might recognize me or the name, but this is a new position, and I've had the opportunity to thankfully take all of the experience I had in those 10 plus years at Kaufman to really bring it into this new role, help create programs, opportunities, ways for students and families to learn not only about all the things that they have available to them here at Dublin City Schools, but all the really cool things that you can do when you leave. So that's what tonight is all about. It's really trying to not just expose you to the amazing things you can do as a student while you're here, but also to help you see what you can connect that to when you leave. So there's something called the 4 E's that I'll talk about in a little bit, but just to kind of kick things off, I've got some important dates up here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going on this through these because our marketing team's done a great job of pushing them out through emails, but everybody has access to this presentation, so you'll have these dates. We've got some great curriculum nights coming up for 8th grade families. Emerald Campus right here has a lot of different programs that I'm not going to go to in as much detail. So next week they've got an open house. We've got a College Credit Plus virtual session coming up. And then really there's some submission deadlines that your schools are going to push out so much that it's going to be impossible to miss. So I'm going to keep moving, again, to kind of keep to my time frame where I'm going to try to stick to about 30 minutes. I'm covering probably way too much information to be covered in 30 minutes, but my goal is, again, to get you upstairs into the Pathways Fair and to get into some of the presentations beyond this that maybe you've heard about that brought you here tonight. So my goal is to really talk to you about the concept of these 6 through 12 pathways that we're really starting to talk a lot more about. It's not a brand new concept, but it's something that we're being more intentional about here in Dublin City Schools. So we're going to talk to you about what that means, how they connect to all of the opportunities students have beyond high school. We're going to then do a very high-level overview of all the things that students can do here to create a custom experience throughout their time in Dublin City Schools. And then at the end, I want you to walk away with some tips and resources and tools that you can reference beyond my presentation that will help you with this process, because it's overwhelming. The amount of choice that students have now is incredible, but it's a lot. It's too much sometimes for one person to sit down and figure out. So luckily we have great resources. We've obviously got people who are going to be very, very helpful for you as you figure these things out. But beyond my presentation is where things get really interesting. Not to sell myself short, but the things after this are going to be really cool because we've got industry representatives from all different industries. We've got college representatives from admissions offices in specific departments at different colleges. We have DCS staff members. We've got military representatives. We've got so many people here to spend time with all of you in this room. And beyond that, that's going to be just kind of a pathway fair that you can go and explore and talk to people at your leisure. But then we also have some more presentations, some of them happening in this room here. It's called the EC Union. So we've got at 6:45, we're going to have some medical students and some physician's assistant students go through a panel interview with an Ohio Health representative so that if that's something you're interested in, you can hear what it's like to be a student in those types of programs. And then there will be a short break for about 15 minutes, and then at 7:30, there will be another panel discussion in here with a group of nurses who are here to help students who are interested in that pathway to understand some of those possibilities. And then I know a lot of you here are here for the PERC presentation of your 8th grade families with children going into 9th grade. We've got a great opportunity through PERC on the second floor in the EC Hall where Beth Probst from At the Core will be doing a presentation that is really all about planning for success in high school and beyond. So it's a good, it'll piggyback well off of the information I'm going to cover here in a few moments. So without further ado, I'll get started on my part of the presentation. So in terms of 6 through 12 pathways, what does that mean? Really, it's just a series of connected learning experiences that start in middle school, extend into high school, that allow students to develop the skills and the information that they need to make decisions about what they want to do after high school. Because it sneaks up on us pretty quickly, and we certainly want to make sure students have the ability to explore a lot of options and to leave with a lot of skills so that when they make those decisions, they're going to feel really confident in why they're choosing those options. So sometimes I think one of the biggest misconceptions I hear from when I hear about what are these pathways, and I don't want my students narrowing their focus too early, and we don't either, especially middle school, high school. These are times to explore. These are times to just learn about yourself. What are your interests? What are your strengths? And then those strengths are going to evolve over time. But really, this picture here on the left is more of what we're looking for, right? That's the type of path we want students on in high school and middle school. The path on the right, that's narrowly focused, and that's not what we're about. We're trying to help them understand all of the options available so that when they have to make those big decisions later on, they've got some really good information to pull from. So years ago, the Department of Labor and Department of Education created a list of 16 career clusters that we've taken into account as we've kind of moved it into a Dublin form that we've used to help students with the planning process and parents with the planning process of these different pathway communities. So you've got agriculture and environmental systems, arts and communication, business and law, education, hospitality and human services, engineering, technology and transportation, and health sciences and public safety. So everything that's happening upstairs tonight is falling into these categories. So again, hopefully there's a particular area of interest that you want to explore, but we also hope that you'll go and you'll talk to people from some of these other areas as well, because there are so many cool things that students have never even heard of, because a lot of times they just know about what their parents do, or they see what people in their school buildings are doing, and they don't know about all the amazing job opportunities that are out there, especially with all the changes that are taking place in the workforce. So events like this are going to connect you and your students and your children with people that they can talk to and learn about some of those opportunities. So it all comes together at the end of high school into what we call the 4 E's. So when you're making decisions about what you want to do beyond graduation, it's really going to fall into these categories. So you've got education, employment, enlistment, and entrepreneurship. So it's a combination of these for a lot of students. Some are going to focus more on one than the other. Some are going to start with one and then move to another. I think a lot of times we expect students to jump right to college after high school. A lot of kids might not be ready for that, and that's okay. So maybe they go and do something with the military, or maybe they go and do some employment and get some skills and do a certificate program to start, because that's where they are at that moment, and they don't really know what they want to do, and they don't want to take out big loans to pay for college before they have that figured out. So these are the types of conversations that we want to be having with our community and our students, so that as they're planning for life after high school, they know, hey, you've certainly got college. That's a great option, and the majority of our students are going to continue to take that option. But know why you want to go there, and know what even all the college options are, because a lot of times they get hung up on the names of schools they've heard of, and they don't realize there's great opportunities at universities and colleges that maybe they've never thought of before. So we've got some great tools here that I'm going to show you that'll help them learn about those as well. So the whole idea of tonight is to figure out how to connect what you can do in high school, how you can customize your experience, and then make some decisions about what you want to do beyond. So the pathways that students can take in high school today are not even close to what they used to be when old people like me were in high school, right? So there's so many things that people can do now that are going to create this customized experience. So these 4 things that are listed here are not limited to these 4 options, but these are the vast majority of options that students have are in these 4 categories. So they've got courses and opportunities at their assigned schools, right? So whether they go to Kaufman, Jerome, Scioto, middle schools obviously have a lot of great options, so they're going to have all of those opportunities. We've got some amazing opportunities here at Emerald Campus as well when students are looking for something maybe a little more targeted or non-traditional than compared to just being in classrooms. We've got great career, technical, and education opportunities through our partnership with Tolles, and then we also have some other educational partnerships that I'll highlight tonight without going into too much detail. And then lastly, students today have the ability to start college sooner than maybe a lot of us did when we were in high school. So there's different ways to earn college credit, and I'm going to cover those at a high level this evening. So in terms of options at the high schools, this is going to be the most familiar for a lot of the parents in this room. You could never run out of options at any of our high schools. The number of electives that we have, the number of advanced, interesting courses for when students find maybe a subject area that they're really excited about, you won't run out of ways to go at the high school level. So I'm going to highlight some of the other programs that we offer in this district, but I don't want anyone in here thinking that you couldn't get an incredible experience if you just stay at your high school for all 4 years, because you can. The staff is incredible, the elective opportunities are incredible. So you can see the top there is just lists out those core classes that everybody's very familiar with. You need them to graduate, but each of those core subject areas has a lot of very interesting electives as well. So as students discover, maybe I really like English and I want to take these more advanced English classes, they can do that at the high school level. We certainly have a lot of AP and honors courses to choose from. We've got world languages, the performing and visual arts, business technology, applied sciences, wellness, PE and health, some great support opportunities for students who might need help in certain subject areas, great leadership opportunities, and we even have virtual course options now. Now, we're not a virtual school ever, and we want students with us. That's where they're going to get their best education. But sometimes a little bit of flexibility can go a long way in helping them fit something in that's really important to them. So our virtual courses allow for that. So maybe taking one or two at any given point during the school year to help them fit in another class that's really important to them will allow us to do that. So we love that we have that flexibility, but I don't want anyone thinking that we can do an all virtual schedule, because that's not what we're about. We want kids with us, we want to work with your students, and we want to work with you in person as much as possible. And then of course the sports and the clubs that are available at the high school are incredible ways to get great experience to make some decisions beyond high school. So I also mentioned we have some great options here at Emerald Campus. Again, there's an open house next week that I think is going to really help people who have specific questions about that, but really, the options here are very targeted and specific for the most part in our academy programs. These are experiential learning programs. They take up 2 periods on a schedule. You know, it requires some travel back and forth between the home high school and this building, so sometimes it can be difficult to get that full 7-period day. But again, we've got those virtual options to help with some flexibility if we need it. But you can see here, we've kind of listed them all out in those career pathway communities that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation to kind of give you an idea of how these fit within our pathway planning model. And then over on the left-hand side, you can see there's some more general opportunities in this building. We have some college classes that meet here. Our IB diploma program is here. That's International Baccalaureate. So I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit. And then we've got programs like Young Professionals Academy, Dublin Co-op, and those are programs that actually get students out of school altogether and doing internships with local businesses in places that will mentor them and allow them to see what it's like to develop professional skills in a setting that's not in a school. So those are programs that all start here. So again, just putting them on your radar to start. And we do have options through outside partners as well. So Toll's Career and Technical Center is a place that we've had a great partnership with for many years. Everything listed here in black is programs that are available at Toll's. We also have the opportunity for students who are really interested in some things that maybe aren't available at Toll's or aren't available at our school. And we have a great connection with the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium School, and that's sponsored through the Delaware Area Career Center, which is similar to Toll's. And then we also have a program called Mosaic, which again is an experiential learning program that is focused on humanities-based subjects. And they meet downtown. There's students from all over Central Ohio that are involved in that program. So somebody who's just looking for something a little bit different and wants to get out and see things outside of that Dublin bubble that we sometimes hear it called, this is a great opportunity for those students. And there will be people that will come to the high schools to educate students who are interested in that here in the next several weeks. The mic, is it? Thank you.
And I think maybe this is better. Yeah.
All right. Good, because my voice was starting to strain. I think now I can kind of take it down a couple of notches maybe. So then the last, the last category that I highlighted was these college credit opportunities. So I think if you are in grades 7 through 12 now, you're eligible for a program called College Credit Plus. So many of you, maybe if you've had students involved in that, or you know you have a student of age right now that's thinking about it, but that is a way that students can begin to earn college credit as a high school student or even as a middle school student if in very rare circumstances that's a good fit. We typically wouldn't recommend that, but we treat everything on an individual basis, so you never know. But this kind of goes through, we've got a couple of other ways that students could potentially earn college credit. You've got advanced placement, AP courses, International Baccalaureate, IB is what they're commonly called. So all three of these can potentially lead to college credits. The only one that's an actual college class is College Credit Plus. The other two are high school classes that are intended to teach at a college level rigor. The only way a student could potentially earn credit for those options is by earning a high enough score on an assessment at the end of those courses. So if you're familiar with AP exams, IB exams, again, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee with any of these that credits will transfer. It all depends on where you go to school, Obviously in Ohio, our College Credit Plus courses and credits are very highly recognized, but sometimes when you start to look at private schools or schools outside of the state, it's a little more limited. So we do a great job of consulting with students and making sure they understand that before they sign up for these types of classes. But this is just something that I won't read every line on here, but hopefully if you want to understand the difference between these three types of opportunities to earn college credit, I've got it here on this slide for you. So I just covered a million things, and I'm not going to quiz you on it. And I think the big thing I want you to walk out of here knowing and thinking about is I don't have to figure this out. My student, if I'm a student, I don't have to figure all this on my own. We have tools that you can use. Of course, your counselors, your teachers, all the people that want to sit down and have conversations with you to help you make these decisions are going to help you. But we have some other ways to help you figure out, well, if I don't even know what I'm interested in, where do I begin? So 2 tools that we've been extremely fortunate to be able to provide our students with come from these 2 that are listed here. You've got something called U-Science and another program called Schoollinks. There's a little bit of crossover in terms of some of the resources available on both, but we want you to be knowledgeable about both of these different resources because they're going to help if you're trying to figure out what direction do I want to go. I'm not really sure what my interests are. Maybe just learning about what my strengths are and what my talents are is where I want to start. So we've got U-Science, we've got Schoollinks. I'm going to cover each of these in a little bit more detail on the next few slides. So what makes U-Science unique and different is that it's all focused on student aptitude. So when I say that to students, I ask them to let me know if they know what aptitudes are. Every once in a while I get a brave soul that'll let me know. But usually it's a word they've heard, but they're not sure how to define. It's natural strengths and abilities. It's talents. It's things that a lot of times you're born with. And of course, everybody has the ability to improve in areas that are more difficult for them. But we all have things that we can do that are a little bit easier than other people. So this is a great tool to help students just better understand what are their natural strengths and talents. So the way it works is there's 11 brain games at the high school level. This is the first year we've actually offered this at the middle school level as well. So if you have an 8th grader, they've already started these. And if you have a 7th grader, that's going to happen in the spring. But at that level, there are 6 brain games. At the high school level, there are 11. But they're broken into 4 to 15-minute segments. You don't have to do them all at once. We recommend that you don't, in fact, because we want students to be able to focus and sit and take them and take them seriously. Because what it's going to do is then, once they finish it, they get these great personalized results about not only what their talents are and natural aptitudes, but it's also going to suggest a lot of careers that fall within what those aptitudes would be used for. So this is just an example of a screenshot. Once you complete those assessments, it's going to show you a lot of different careers that are related to someone who's got a brain like yours. So it's not going to all be targeted in one pathway or one career field. So that's why I really like it, because it gives them a nice variety of options, and some of them are going to be jobs they've heard of before, but a lot of them are going to be things they've not ever thought about before, and they can dig into it more and understand, well, what is that job like? How much school do I need for that? What are the prospects? What does it pay? What parts of the country are looking for that? So there's some great information on that. There's also a lot of great details on the talents that are found from the results. So they get a whole report that they can use to learn about themselves, and then they can enter that on resumes, and they can use it in personal statements, and they can really just use it to better understand themselves, because that's what we want them to do throughout their time here in Dublin City Schools. So the next resource I want to highlight is Schoollinks. We've had this for several years. It's very good as well. It has some things that are similar to U-Science, but really we've used this a lot to really highlight the college research that it allows students to do. So it's not just traditional four-year colleges, even though that's the majority of the research that students use this for, but it's going to be all kinds of post-secondary college options that are available to learn more about, and it's very detailed search options. You can save them, you can create lists for yourself, you can save them, and then ultimately, when you're a senior, you use this for your application process in addition to some other websites that you'll learn about at that point. But this is a great tool for college research. It also has some great exploration of careers, similar to U-Science. It doesn't have the same aptitude assessments. That's the reason we have U-Science. This has some career assessments. I think a lot of you might be familiar with some things that you can click through very quickly in 5 to 10 minutes, answer questions about what you're most interested in on that day, about certain categories, and it'll give you some results. But the aptitude results from the U-Science are much more scientifically based and will give students a much better idea of those natural skills compared to some of the ones on Schoollinks. But the career research is still really good on this, so we do use it for that. And then lastly, the thing I want to point out is that this is where a lot of volunteer, internship, job opportunities are hosted. So as students are looking for things like this, SchoolLinks is a great place to start and to go in and see if there are any openings for these types of things that they might be interested in. All right, so again, I want you to walk out of here with resources, tools that you can use to help with this overwhelming process. This is a lot of information covered. I feel that I'm going quickly, but I'm doing it by design because, again, I want everyone to have plenty of time to take advantage of meeting with all the amazing people that have agreed to spend their time with you this evening. So the first thing I'll do is just share some basic tips that I think are good to think about as you go into this process. So again, best resources are teachers, counselors, older siblings and friends who have gone through these before. Ask them questions, learn about their experience. It's just maybe that person's opinion sometimes, especially if it's a student who has taken a class, but there are people that can help you make this a more manageable process. Use Science, use SchoolLinks. Those are great resources that we pay for to make sure you have at your fingertips, so please use those resources. They're amazing. Obviously, you're going to explore different pathways. So in middle school, in high school, don't tie yourself too directly to one thing. Even if you find something you really like early, certainly make that a priority, but still check out some other things. Take that public speaking class. Take that extra art class if you really enjoyed art and you want to explore the next level of that. So make sure you're exploring different options in addition to some of the more targeted pathways that we offer. If you are considering college sports after high school, there are some additional requirements that you have to keep in mind. So I've linked a website here. It's just the NCAA Eligibility Center, and it gives you a whole list of the core courses that they approve of from the Dublin City schools that we offer. So again, there's an extra layer, but talk to your counselor, talk to your coaches. They're familiar with this process. You don't need to figure it out all on your own, but I wanted to make sure to bring attention to that as you plan to think about that if it's part of your potential future. And then lastly, seek balance. There's so many things to do. You can't do it all. And certainly you have 4 years to explore. So a lot of times we have students that want to double up on this and double up on that and take all these classes in the summer. And sometimes that makes sense, but usually it's just a road to getting quickly to a place where they realize, well, now what do I do? So even while you don't ever run out of options, we want you to really make sure you have enough time to spend time with friends and family. Make sure you have time for those extracurriculars that are just fun, and make sure you are sleeping. Can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with students about what would help them most is if they just got more sleep. So don't overextend yourself so much that you're not able to get those solid 8, 9 hours, at least 7. I know I'm pleading with some of them in the room, but please make sure you're getting enough sleep. It makes all the difference in so many different ways. So beyond those tips, now I'm going to go into some resources. There's a whole new and improved this course, Academic Programs and Pathways course book. So a lot of people spent some time improving this, making it more of a usable electronic resource. So there's hyperlinks in here now. It's much easier to navigate and jump around and get to where you want to be. It's a work in progress always, though. So if you find that you're not finding what you're looking for, let us know, and we're always looking to make improvements to this. So again, you're going to want to have this ready when you're doing this scheduling process because there's so many things to know about. All the explanations are in these books. So we've got the middle school and the high school books linked here, but they're all on the website as well. So earlier I talked about those 6 pathway communities. Here is a sheet that kind of highlights all 6. Each one of them has an information guide to help students who maybe have gone through Use Science and SchoolLinks. They've discovered things they want to know more about. They like the idea of a couple of different pathway options. There's some really cool resources now that will point them in the direction if they're looking for some of that direction. So you've got related careers to each one, electives that we offer that are tied into each of these, related post-secondary options, related programs and clubs. So all of those exist on here. And again, these are a work in progress. These are going to evolve over time as our options and opportunities grow within the district and change, but this will be a live document that you always have access to help you with that planning process. Here's a 4-year scheduling tool that you can use. Some people just like to have notebooks and write it out in there. Some people like to have a spreadsheet. And again, if you are just entering high school and you fill something like this out, it's going to change every year. But to have a plan is better than to not have a plan, especially when there's so many things that you have available to you. So getting prerequisites out of the way is going to be really helpful to open the doors later on. So understanding what those are can be really helpful. So at the bottom of this sheet, it gives you all the graduation requirement credits that you need. It talks about some of the other graduation requirements. If you came here wanting to learn more about graduation requirements, the great news is there's going to be people upstairs that can help talk about that in more detail. So again, I'm covering a lot at a high level very quickly. So if you know you wanted more information about something specific, in addition to all the people that are upstairs to talk about the amazing opportunities during high school, beyond high school, we're going to have a whole room of Dublin staff members who can talk to you specifically about course options, College Credit Plus, International Baccalaureate, all of the academies at Emerald Campus, internships, things of that nature. So we've got rooms set up upstairs for you to have those conversations as well. Students are starting to get these scheduling forms. This month is going to go quickly, and at the end of the month, they're going to start entering what they put on these forms into our new system called Infinite Campus. But this is a helpful tool. It's got some helpful tips and suggestions on the back, but the front is just a nice one-page document that they can use to lay out what all of their schedule options, what the schedule that they're most interested in, with the opportunity at the bottom to put some backup options just in case something doesn't work out. But I've got all of these linked on here as well. Again, everyone has access to this presentation, and they can use that to enter, to go and check these out to help with the planning process. And then here is the Infinite Campus screenshot. I just wanted to give you an idea of what it looks like, because your students, while they've been in Infinite Campus and you've been in Infinite Campus, it's the first time that we've used it as a scheduling tool. So it's similar to what we've done in the past, which I think is great because students aren't going to be blown away by the changes, but it's going to be a little bit different. But what's going to be nice is as students fill out those forms, they're going to take that information and enter it electronically, and they'll have the chance to meet with counselors to do that if they need to, but sometimes it's pretty straightforward. But they can enter course codes, they can just type in the name of a class that will pop up, but they can also see the classes that are in their course history, so they can see what they've taken in the past. As they're trying to figure out what they want to take moving forward, they can make sure they've gotten certain prerequisites and elective requirements out of the way, so this will be a really helpful tool for that. So I know everybody, in the back was kind of coming in late, so I put up some important upcoming dates. I'll throw them up here one more time, but again, we've been pushing a lot of these out through emails. Your schools are going to continue to share these dates with you, but I did want to make that a part of this presentation just in case some of them are coming up pretty quickly and wanted to put it on your radar. So the soonest one is next week back in this building. Emerald Campus is going to host an open house that specifically talks about all of their programs. You've got CCP virtual info session coming up on the 23rd. 8th grade family curriculum nights are on the 24th and 25th, depending on which high school that your child is entering as a 9th grader. And then we've got those submission deadlines. End of the month, we've got a deadline for the high school schedule requests. And then beyond that, on February 10th, we have a priority deadline for the intent to participate in College Credit Plus, just as an earlier deadline to try to make sure students aren't waiting to the last minute, because we don't want anyone to miss that hard deadline of April 1st. So next up, we've got a lot of great things happening after this presentation. So on the second floor, all throughout the second floor are all kinds of people who are volunteering their time this evening to meet with you, talk to you about really cool opportunities that, again, students have not just in high school, but beyond high school. And then we've got some really neat presentations following this as well. 2 of them are right in this room. If you're interested in the healthcare field, specifically, we've got some medical and physician's assistant student panels that will be here in about 20 minutes. So they're going to be just kind of interviewed by an Ohio Health representative and sharing their ideas and thoughts on what their experiences have been like as students in those programs. And then at 7:30, there will be a nurses panel. And again, Ohio Health will be sponsoring that, and we'll have someone who's monitoring and asking questions. So if you're interested in hearing from the nurses, be back in this space at 7:30. And then if you're here for the PERC presentation, that is on the second floor in the EC hall, that begins at 6:45. So that was much faster than I thought I was going to get through all of this. So I'm feeling pretty proud of myself right now. I hope that you all have an amazing evening. I'm going to be on the second floor with all the DCS staff members answering questions. So we won't, I won't stick around here answering specific questions, but please come see me and all the others who are here to answer questions. There's restrooms in this back hallway. There's restrooms on the second floor. Anything else that I missed, please don't hesitate